I'm happy to say we have Gordon Wright from StoneMill Log Timber Homes with us. StoneMill is based out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Been around the company for 46 years. Gordon, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
You bet. We're glad to have you. One of the things we're going to talk about is a lot of people like to have things broken down in the list, and there's usually a top 10 questions that everybody gets asked in this industry. And we're going to talk about one of those, and it's really going to be about the design and engineering of your home. That's a big part of it, right? It's got to start with that. And it's all based on your land and your wants and needs. But can you tell us a little bit about that process, Gordon? And we'll get started.
Yeah, the design and engineering portion of building a log home is probably the most critical part of the process. If you start strong, you're going to finish strong. If you can the more planning you can do and the more prep you can do ahead of time, the better off you are to have a very successful build. It's something that you'll be very excited to live in and not have regrets about certain aspects of the build.
What are some of the key points there with that process?
Yeah, so you want to start with a basic plan, something that fits your budgetary needs. A lot of the designing process is actually trying to come up with a design that will hit your budget goals. During that design process, you're able to come up with floor plans that may fit your family or a specific location, perhaps the slope of the land and how it sits on the land, the viewscape, all those things come into play when you're designing the home.
So in a lot of cases, you probably see people coming to you, some own, and we had this topic of discussion a little bit earlier, but it's a very important one, is people coming to you maybe with a plan in hand or an idea. Some own their land, some don't. So depending on where they are in the process, it's important to help them through that and matching that floor plan with the budget, because beyond the floor plan you have a roof layout, and then of course you have the coverings on the outside of the house. Are you going to have covered porches versus open decks? All of those things certainly play a role in that overall design, which ultimately leads to the budget.
Yeah, it's very hard to have a design without a piece of land, because the design dictates a lot of times how you build on that particular land, whether you have a crawl space, whether you have a basement. All those things play into consideration. Then also things like the environmental conditions there, the wind speeds, the seismic activity, the snow loads, all those also play into a huge part of the engineering portion.
That's a good point. You talk about the different engineering requirements. I'm in upstate New York, and where we build here, and maybe where you guys are building down in that Knoxville area, and we're all over the country where you guys build, every area has a different set of codes. And again, those are design and budget numbers that have to come into play. You hit snow load, around here, I might be at 55 pounds. If I go 70 miles north, I'm in 100-pound snow load. And then you go out west, you're in 300-pound snow load. So those are really important considerations. The septic, all those things when you're in the early stages of design and budget.
Now, site prep is huge. Does it have sewer? Does it already have water on the property? What other types of utilities do you already have there that you won't have to spend the money on? Because digging a well, digging a septic system, all those things can really add to the budget and things that a lot of customers don't think about.
And we all know, to a certain degree with the septic system, especially around here, especially when you're building near lakes, there's a different codes. But when you get to the well, it's a tough one because you don't know. I mean, your neighbor could go 150 feet and get 20 gallons per minute. But that's not always going to be the case. So there's always a budget number there. And that's how, in one of your roles, I'm sure, is as you're going through that process, you have to massage the budget here and there with a little give and take in order to kind of get past some of those things.
Yeah, so you can kind of shoot for the moon, I guess, when you're designing. And then once you come up with a concept and a design that's fairly accurate, you can take that to a general contractor or to whoever's going to, if you're going to be an owner builder, and then come up with an overall budget based on, what fits your needs.
We got a question here, Gordon. We own a graded property with septic, well, and power. So those are three big ones right out of the way, and it's on a mountain. So, it wasn't probably easy getting power to that, I'm sure. Formerly had two 70s era mobile homes on that are torn down. It's a large area, flat area. Again, all pluses so far. She wants to build a SIP home, a SIP home. If people don't know what that is, that's a structural insulated panel. I'm not sure if it's a total SIP home. I don't know if she's meaning a hybrid, but she wants to know where she would want to start with something like that.
Yeah, the way to start is go into the design process. A timber frame home or post and beam or anything where you're going to have SIPs installed, that has to be engineered and designed. So, get some ideas, clip some timber frame ideas, go on the internet, Pinterest, all these different locations. We have our website, which is stonemill.com. It's a great place to find timber frames we've already built that will kind of give you some ideas of how you want to get started.
Very good. Let's talk a little bit about just a little bit away from you over in Gatlinburg and those areas. You're dealing with some steep building lots. And when you talk about Western North Carolina, I've done a lot of traveling over the years. I've always couldn't believe some of the foundations I've seen in those areas, those mountainous areas where you got to build 2 stories of foundation before you get to the actual basement level. Where I live in New York, we could never do that. However, those things have got to be huge budget and design concerns when you're dealing with a slope lot like that.
Yes, they definitely are. That can add 30% to the cost of a build, just building on the side of a mountain. Getting the materials to the property is one of the biggest concerns. And we have ways to do that. We've built it just about everywhere you can think of on the sides of cliffs. And we figure out a way to get those timbers up there and get them constructed with our crane.
And that really goes to, that's a funny, you say that for sure. I mean, a lot of these homes are not normally built on, half-acre flat plots with 1 or 2 maple trees in the front yard. You're dealing with a lot of different terrain and really that process of thinking about how you're going to get materials there, not just the log and timber frame materials, but how our concrete truck's going to get up those driveways. Those are all budgetary items that need to be a part of the design. Well, listen, Gordon, these have been great topics, and I'm sure a hot one for people looking to build. And Gordon, I want to give you a little time to talk about StoneMill Log and Timber Homes, and I want to thank you today for lending your expertise to everyone.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite. StoneMill is they've been around for a long time. We're like he said, we're manufactured, and our office home is in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is up near the Great Smoky Mountains. I actually get to live in the Great Smoky Mountains, which is mountains in Tennessee. And I've been building log homes with my dad over the years, and he developed property. And so I have a lot of experience on how to build a log home and just tips and tricks along the way, because those little tips and tricks can add up to a lot of value. And I like to bring that to the table. But StoneMill, we design, fabricate, and install log structures throughout the United States. And we specialize in that flat log, hand-hewn, smooth, plain smooth with a dovetail corner. You can get it with a chink joint, or you can get it without a chink joint for a more modern look. And we also offer timber frame and hybrid. So we have a start to finish plan, and we take care of our customers, and that's number one.
Gordon, thanks again. Appreciate it.